Alright, so basically, today we're going to talk about pawn breakthroughs, right? Now, what is a pawn breakthrough? A pawn breakthrough occurs when a player is able to force the creation of a passed pawn, right? So, what I'm trying to say over here is you need to create a passed pawn, which means you need to promote either your f5 pawn because you're playing as white or the h5 pawn. So, yeah, this position probably speaks for itself. Super easy, super simple. Uh, so let's say firstly I need to play the move f6, correct? Why? Because if pawn takes, then it paves the way or it makes my job as white very easier. And then it's simple, pretty much h5 goes to h6 and this is very much unstoppable, correct? You just promote it to a queen, snatch all these two pawns and you're pretty much there in the game, correct? The other option for black to if black wants to stretch the game a little bit is to play a move like g6, correct? And again then we have two options, very simple, first take and then promote your f pawn, perfect, right? Makes a lot of sense. Or you can just simply ignore the threat and continue with what you were doing before, like just play h6, go there, and then yeah, black pawn is far too behind, so you can play a move like queen g7, capture, snatch off this pawn, go back, snatch off the other pawn, and that's pretty much what a pawn breakthrough is, right? I repeat again, a pawn breakthrough occurs when a player is able to force the creation of a passed pawn. So yes, we were able to create or force the creation of a passed pawn. So that's what a pawn breakthrough is. Let's take a look at our second position. This is one of my favorites because this is a must know position. Right? This is something very basic, probably one should know whenever they talk about pawns or in general breakthroughs whatsoever. So, firstly, many kids or even adults, right, make a mistake of playing a move like without analyzing or without calculating. They make a mistake of playing a move like f6, and then this is a major problem, right? This is a major discourse. Why? Because pawn takes and then simply h6, which means okay, now this position is favorable for black, right? And this does no harm for black. Likewise, if h6 is played, probably takes and a move like f6 should help, and then it's basically a race. And yeah, probably it's just would be a draw. Black might be even better. So the correct way to initiate or go about this is to break through using the central pawn. Right? When I say break through using the central pawn, you need to play a move with the central pawn, which is playing your pawn to g6. Now, if the f pawn takes, be very careful. Do not take with the f pawn or with the g pawn, right? Let's say if you take back with the f pawn, then again it's a deadlock, right? It's a deadlock, and this will result in a drawn endgame. Likewise, if you take with the h pawn, sorry, likewise if you take with the, uh, I mean, if they take with the f pawn and if you take with the g pawn, again it's a deadlock and would result in a draw. So pretty much what we need to do is after playing the move g6, if they take with the left pawn, which is the f pawn, you can create a pawn breakthrough by pushing your pawn to h6, right? Because once the g pawn captures our h pawn, then this is readily available, right? You can just keep pushing and yeah, there is no stopping. So you have successfully managed to create a passed pawn. Likewise, when you play g6, pawn captures, and if they capture our f5 pawn, then this is even simpler, right? This is very easy. So basically, the idea is if they take with the left pawn, push your right pawn, right? And that will help you create a passed pawn. If they take with the right pawn, then you push the left pawn. It is as simple as it gets, right? Very self-explanatory, very easy, right? And then yes, that's about it. So always remember, whenever there's a deadlock, three pawn versus three, push your central pawn, right? If they take with the left, you push the right pawn up. If they take with the right, you push the left pawn. So the concept is pretty simple. One thing that really makes a difference is the way you calculate. You cannot just play moves for the sake of playing them. You need to calculate a bit ahead, right? So you need to foresee how things might take a jar or how things might go. All right, so now let's take a look at this easy position, I would say. Let me flip the board because it's black to play, right? And yes, you can see you need to somehow promote one of these two, and the best pawn that you can promote is the h3 pawn, because taking a look at the dynamics, firstly, this pawn is closer uh, to getting promoted. And also, if you just take a look at this, a pawn is blocked by, uh, or it's a deadlock situation between black pawns block these white pawns from moving. I mean, the dark squared pawns block the light squared pawns from moving forward. So the answer is pretty straightforward and simple. If you want to create a passed pawn, the passed h pawn, you need to get rid of the h2 pawn. So how do you get rid of the h2 pawn? By creating a diversion or by creating a deflection. So it's bishop captures g3, and then pawn captures g3 is a must, because if not, then I will take the other pawn as well. Pawn captures g3, and okay, this will help us create a passed pawn. So no matter whatever white plays, it is pretty simple. Let's take a look at the fourth position, one of very interesting positions, right? There are many correct ways to go ahead and play about it. Like for example, knight e5 looks good, but then it might result in rook captures b4, right? A move like probably, let's say, rook going to b3 looks good, but then again, there is a move like bishop c4. So a lot of complications arise. So best thing is to create connected passed pawns. Connected passed pawns are pawns which move forward together. So yes, the right move is to play rook captures b5, and then after pawn captures b5, uh, take a look, think about this for about 30 seconds, and you can probably comment, let me know in the chat. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, so the correct way to go about it is after rook captures b5 and pawn captures b5, it is as easy as it gets, right? If one pawn is connected to other pawn, just make sure they move forward. You can play c6, and if rook e7, you have a brilliancy, which is to play the move b7. And if they block again, then you can keep pushing forward by playing a move like pawn to c7, and then probably this is I mean, this is never ending, right? You cannot like probably stop this attack. So let's say even if they play a move like rook e8, you can just push, takes, make another queen, takes, and then rook takes, and you have uh, an extra rook which is left over the board. So do not be uh, in a rush, and also don't worry about sacrificing, especially if you have connected passed pawns. So, like I said, the position speaks for itself, and this is an easy one. Okay, next one is also very nice, right? So basically, I need to promote the G pawn. So if I need to promote the G pawn, I need to get rid of the white pawn on G2. Probably one of the quickest ways is to go knight captures b5. Okay, if the king goes behind, no rush, no worries. I go knight e3 and snatch this pawn off as well. So they are pretty much forced to take it, and then you just keep pushing so that ultimately when the g pawn is nowhere to be found, it's nowhere to be seen on the square, there you go bigger, and then you hit the jackpot, right? There are other ways. You probably might argue, like for example, the coach, like what happens if the king goes to d2? You just follow your usual routine, right? Because again, the king is far off if they capture with the g pawn, right? You always have this move available, keeping in mind that the knight can never, white knight can never give a check because it is two squares away diagonally. So yes, other moves may be like, okay, playing a move like king d2 captures, and then yeah, king e1. So just be sure and calculate very well. Do not play a move like f2, because then okay, white is probably able to defend this position well. Just keep on following up with your original plan, because the g3 pawn controls the f2 square, the g2 pawn controls the f1 square, and uh, promoting the pawn to g1 looks unstoppable, right? So yes, always like I said, I will be giving you the description, or letting you know more in the videos itself, as well as putting you like or giving you some more information. So, and as you can see on the right hand side of your screen, you can always book a demo. You can always reach out to the academy on the number mentioned, and you can definitely have a free demo for 30 minutes, right? So as much as you need. So let's talk ahead in our next class or in our next video. And that's about it for today. And I will see you all soon. All right. See ya. Take care.